Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Investing with a Difference EOS mainnet launch tracking. So the votes are trickling in as we see that now we are at a 6.4%. The pace usually picks up as the day starts in Asia and then in US. I think that's where most of the concentration looks like is. And we just now tickled over 64 million, and we need, as you know, 150 million votes to get the mainnet activated. While a lot of activity is already happening on the chain, I will talk about it later on what all things are possible, what is happening, what we are seeing, and a little more details about what will happen soon. But before that, let's have a quick look on the status of the block producers. So this is the Crypto Lions tracker. As we can see that 42.7%, that is 64 million votes, have been casted. That means that we are almost halfway through the activation. By morning, I believe it will be 50% or more, and it can go faster now. So a lot of block producers are now putting up a lot of communication. The things are now moving ahead because they are announcing more and more tools. More and more education is happening for the individual voters, and people are getting more confident in voting now. So this should actually pick pace very soon. Now look at the top block producers. So US New York, which is one of the very active block producers in community, and they have been actually one of the leading developers in, like, how they to make this happen. So they are on the top, which is nice to see. US DAC, again a community-based block producer. US Authority has done a lot of work. We have used their tools. US Canada, very active. So a lot of good block producers are now coming on the top, which is good. Still, we have some of the block producers of Asia going down now after the initial round of voting. Usually, they come up as soon as the day progresses there, so it's a geographical impact also. So we may see some of these Korean and Chinese block producers move up overnight. Again, some of the questionable block producers, like we talked about earlier, the Fly to Mars, it has gone down, but it is still in top 21, which is still nobody has any idea who they are, which is very strange. They have never shown up earlier, and now they have got quite a few votes, which is again something which we are talking about in various channels. Bitfinex has showed up, so that's another thing. We don't know if Bitfinex used their votes yet, or it is just because they have a huge chunk of tokens. I don't think this is something which they have used, or they may have multiple wallets and they use some of them. Still, it is not clear whether they will be taking part in voting, but this can be the organic votes which they are receiving. Uh, then what else is happening? So I would say that a lot of people are publishing their set of selections. So one example is, so in Dan Larimer came in the Telegram channel, and he actually recommended that each block producer should do a recommendation for other block producers, so that because not everybody can research all the 30 votes which you can make. So just to clarify, each of you can vote up to 30 block producers, and those go votes, or you can vote less than 30. Personally, I have used Greymass tool, which is now endorsed by a lot more community members, a lot more block producers. I have seen some endorsements at various places now, that a lot of developers in the community have already reviewed the Greymass tool, and they are feeling very confident that that is a very safe tool to use. So now coming back to, again, as I said, a lot of block producers are now putting their own recommendations, that is helping people making decisions, and we are seeing more and more vote trickling in. What else you can do is the EOS Flare, which is another block producer candidate. They have put together a tool which is very similar to the Etherscan or the Explorer, where you can actually track the transactions based on account, based on transaction ID. It's a very nice tool. So for example, I'll show you one of the accounts of our team members. So you can search the transactions based on your username or with your public key, and that will show you what all things have happened. So if I enter this username, so as you know, or you may have heard, so this wallet had a 170 EOS as a balance, and every wallet has been given 10 tokens which are unstaked, and rest of it is all staked. So what does that mean is, by default, every wallet is already staked except for 10 tokens. And the reason is, you can still make transactions, you can do a few things with these 10 tokens, because you cannot really make any transactions if you don't have any tokens. So even for voting, you need at least a few tokens which are unstaked. Otherwise you cannot access the network. So if you see here, so this tracks the voting. So this wallet is already voted, and you can see the transaction of voting, which ID it went into. This is the transaction ID. And what was the original action? Original action was actually creation of this account. And if you click on this ID, it will show you that many accounts were created in this ID when the mainnet was enabled. And then they delegated this first they created the account, and then they delegated those tokens to this new account. So this is how this process has happened, just to understand. So this will give you a very good insight into how this blockchain is working, how is it different from Ethereum and many other things, because we are talking about usernames, we are talking about delegation, we are talking about staking and unstaking of tokens. So you need to understand all these things, that EOS is very different from other blockchains we have seen. There are a lot of possibilities. We talk about memory, how much memory is allocated, how much bandwidth is allocated to a certain account. So all these things will be very handy once you understand that EOS gives you certain resources on the main net. It is not just a token which retains value. It's a utility token. It can really be used for. We talked about leasing, where you can lease this token, delegate these tokens to another DApp developer who can use the memory and the bandwidth on your behalf, or the CPU. So all these things are available to you on the blockchain right now, based on the current 170 tokens that this wallet has. So similarly, you can go and check for your own username and you can see how this whole process works. Now, while I was browsing through this and looking through some of the names, what I realized, I stumbled upon this username while I was just browsing, and I see that this guy is actually buying RAM and creating new accounts. So as you know, right now, because you have 10 tokens, this guy has already used quite a few of them just buying usernames. So this is just like people just hogging these usernames and just blocking them in advance. So EOS right now allows only 12 character usernames. So this guy is just creating some random usernames like hero and whatever he thinks are going to be popular, and maybe he can later on sell these accounts. So I don't know exactly what this guy is trying to do, but this has already started happening on the network. You can see that a lot more. This one account is creating lots and lots of username, and this is possible today. Unfortunately, as a normal user, if you ask me whether you can do it, I think Scatter wallet allows that, but you need to keep creating more and more key pairs and wallets or users, the accounts on Scatter. But other than that, you can also do it using, if you have running your own node, you can do that. And you can using standard commands like because it's all these features are already activated. So I verified that the only limitation is right now only 10 unstaked tokens are there. So you cannot really use so this particular wallet has 724.3839 EOS, but he cannot really use all of them until the mainnet is active, and he can unstake these tokens to do more trading. So these are a lot of possibilities on EOS, how it will work. So we will talk about it in future videos of how all these things will work out in EOS. It's a very, very different, as I said, blockchain where there are a lot of possibilities. It's a real estate we are talking about, and not just currency. Because a lot of people, once this DApps start coming, once everything happens, there will be a lot of demand for this bandwidth, the CPU, which the EOS will provide to you. What else is happening in EOS world? I would say this is a very big initiative I wanted to talk about, which is the EOS 911. So this is started by EOS 42. So this is, as you know, that EOS is going to have an arbitration panel and arbitration forum that we talked about, ECAF, which is already being formed. But that will only come into picture when we have the mainnet activated. Even before that, there is an initiative by EOS 42, which is another block producer candidate, that they are capturing people who are already lost their keys because of some attacks, and they have already identified the wallets which are potentially targeted by some hackers, and they got a wrong key pair. How they found about this is when you try to vote, you will see that your private key is not working, while your public key is still showing those tokens, and you still have the Ethereum wallet EOS tokens with you. So this uh, clarified that these guys have got their private keys hacked, or maybe the tool which they used for private key and public key pair generation, that didn't work, or in worst case maybe they didn't store their private key properly. In either case, they are looking at a way of how can they make these recoveries of these accounts. And one idea they are talking about is that they can use their Ethereum private key to prove that they are the original owners, because no actual transactions have happened on the mainnet. You cannot really transfer tokens, so you can say that even before the mainnet is active, maybe this can be recovered. And those are the things which is a very very good initiative by EOS 42, and especially for people who have voted and they figured out that their keys are not working. I would say this is going to be very useful if this arbitration works, and if they are able to take it in front of ECAF and make a decision before mainnet is active. So do check out if anybody is aware of this kind of few cases where they lost their private key, or they don't have access to the right private key, or they are not able to vote because of that. Then you can already start logging a case here. They have given, so I will put a link for this, and they have already put up a Google form where you can add this your information. And please don't enter any private key again in this, even though you believe that it is already stolen. But while entering the case, still be careful and don't declare all the information. I'm sure that there are more and more details available in this page on how to enter a case, so go ahead and do that. So these are some of these things happening. One thing which we want to update you is on Binance. So Binance has actually come out and made a statement that they're going to support some of the airdrops. So this is very exciting news for people who have their tokens on Binance. So IQ airdrop, DAC. I believe when they say DAC, it must be EOS DAC, and EON. So this is again something which we did not follow because this was not a very clear picture of what this project is. So we will look into it in more detail. IQ is the most important token because this we believe is the most valuable. But the problem is Binance is putting the responsibility for this project. So they are not doing anything. They're just saying that these projects have to airdrop these amounts to Binance, and then they have to follow up on how they are going to communicate whether these tokens can be withdrawn from Binance. Now, other thing they are saying is they are not going to list these tokens by default, and they have to go through the same strict listing review process. So we have heard a lot of rumors, and a lot of people have told us that Binance charges a huge fee, like many $1 million to list a token, and so it's not just a process. It can be very costly affair, and I don't know if all of these will do it. Specifically EOS DAC, they have already mentioned that they have burned those tokens whichever exchange did not support airdrop when they actually made it in April. So I don't even understand if when they say DAC, if they are referring to EOS DAC, because we are not aware of any other airdrop other than EOS DAC, which is named like that. Then I think this is not a genuine support message. They are just trying to say that we are open, but all the work has to be done by the projects, and Binance will not even list those tokens. You have to withdraw them and take them into another wallet and try to find out how you even access them. So this is all happening right now, but I would say at least the IQ token, I'm hoping that they will finally list on Binance because it's a very big project, and I hope that people get access to these IQ tokens who are holding their EOS and Binance. So these are all the updates. Again, as I said, things are moving slowly and steadily. I would say that maybe because today was a very big day of when a lot of tools were made available, new voting tools are coming up, more and more education is happening. So hopefully this will keep picking pace, and next 24 to 48 hours we will have mainnet active. And remember that even if the mainnet is active, your tokens will you cannot withdraw, they are still staked as we saw in this. So except for the 10 tokens, everything is going to be staked, and there is a 3 days lock-in after the mainnet is activated. Even if you issue a unstake command, you will have to wait for 3 days before they can actually get unstaked. So that is a lock-in period given by the constitution, by how it is defined by the design. So we will talk maybe in a different video of why all these things are there and what is the meaning of all these various states of the token. But just you need to understand that you should not avoid voting because you don't want to lock your tokens, because every token is staked except for the 10 tokens. So irrespective of whether you vote or not, you cannot withdraw as soon as mainnet is active, and you cannot really start making transfers. So thanks once again for joining. I hope this was useful information. If you like it, please press like, and please subscribe to our channel if you are not already subscribed, and share the video as much as you can. We are trying to make sure everybody understands what's going on in EOS world, and it's still don't worry about the whole market correction. I think EOS, irrespective of market conditions, it's a huge project. It will take time. So don't. If you are a trader, I cannot comment. But if you are somebody who is an investor in new technology, I am still very positive, and we are very excited about what is happening on EOS. And once this chain is active, we will see a lot more DApps and a lot more announcements happening, and you will really see the difference on how EOS works, where we talk about instant transactions, no confirmation waiting, and a lot of other possibilities which we talked about in previous videos. So again, thanks for joining, and talk to you more in future videos. Bye bye.